Hey, important day. Wedding coming up tomorrow. Klara Adalena here at the Love for Life Academy. Super excited because one of our sisters is getting married tomorrow. For an academy which is all about finding the love of your life, that's of course awesome to have one of our participants actually be celebrating her wedding tomorrow. I'm just setting up my logistics here because I want to take this as an opportunity. We have been celebrating so much this morning already. It's only 10:30. We already had 2 calls and big celebrations. I just want to share this to another group. With love. Lost. Because it's pretty beautiful, right? That moment of love. This bride to be is actually a very unique bride because, well, it's not unique, but she's unique in the way that she so allows the love to give her joy. And this is a moment that we all want to give blessings to her path. Now, where does that come from? Why is this so important to give blessings to a path? We've been journeying together here as a sisterhood. And when one of them finds her desired outcome, the whole sisterhood is happy, wants to celebrate with her. Plus, we're honoring by blessing her. We're taking all this energy from the sisterhood and giving it to her to carry her through the beautiful and the tough times. Now, the more I work in dating, that's interesting, right? I work in dating and guide successful women in their 30s to actually find their life partner and move forward with their life's dream of creating a family and a happy, love, stable relationship alongside their beautiful careers. The more I work in it, the more I realize dating is dead. Strong statement. It is what I get to see on the calls. Women are all over the place because dating is not working. And of course, they start thinking it's their own fault. But I speak to all these women, right? And it's the same stories, different variations. Dating is dead. We, in the way I work with women here at the Love for Life Academy, we go back to what dating really is about. Because originally, dating was a transition ritual. Like you had transition rituals for young girls who started to menstruate around the age of 10 to 14, some girls earlier, some girls later. Around that age, girls would be taken out of the community in a beautiful way. It would be honored, the girl they had been. It would be recognized that girl was dying as such, that identity was dying. They were brought into a sacred limbo space, a liminal space that is called. And in the liminal space, you don't have an identity. Often girls were naked in that time to kind of, bring that out even more. They would be guided by priestesses, by shamanesses, by wise, special women used to hold these energies of those sacred times, used to make that connection to the divine. And from there, allow her soul to take on new lessons before she would take on her new robe and come back into that new identity. Liminal times are times when the soul is free and she re-nourishes herself and she gets what she needs for the second part of the journey. And then at the end of the liminal phase, there would be rituals, more rituals, celebrations to bring the girl back into the community, but now as a woman, no longer a girl, now being birthed as a woman. This was very powerful. In our time, we are starting to understand with everything we know about hormones that actually it's true. When your womb starts to flower and come alive, as a young girl, she's still very flat and shriveled like. Then she opens up like you have some of those paper flowers, remember, that you put in the water and they're just like nothing. And then bzzz. That's kind of what happens to the womb when we begin to menstruate. But it doesn't just happen to the womb. And modern science is starting to see that. The womb has such a big part in all the hormones that are moving through our bodies. Hormones influence our brains, but even more directly, hormones are like brains almost. I'm making it simplified, right? But it's not only that our womb is almost like our second brain, and our heart is our third, and we have a fourth and a fifth. We were so off it when we thought that only the brain was making decisions and thinking and processing. All the organs are doing that, especially the womb. So what a difference when this whole new part of us comes alive, starts making different choices for and with us. So now we begin to see that it's actually true. It's a new being, new identity, new way of being wired. The little girl didn't have that. Ancient cultures knew that all the time, and they understood what we often don't understand, that it asked something, a ritual, a sacred transition to move from the old and into the new. Not having that is one of the reasons why we see so many girl women out there. Women who are not really matured in their own power centers. So that's what a transitional ritual is like. And in ancient cultures, they were having many of those. And you received it as a girl when you started to menstruate. And you received it when the time was ready for you to take on, as the woman you are now, new responsibilities. It's what we would call dating nowadays. Dating and engaging and marrying. There was one big ritual. Because it wasn't so that a ritual was just one day or something like that, right? No, a ritual could take months. This was a months-long ritual. Dating, engaging, wedding. And it followed actually that same structure because we recognized that it asks a new identity. As the young woman, you're exploring all those feminine energies with sisters, with mothers, with aunts, with older sisters. Within the holding of the big feminine community, you would feel all these feminine ways of being. When you marry, you start becoming responsible to upholding that. And you are given the opportunity to uphold that with a man who doesn't have that in the same way as you do. Men are developing their feminine side more and more. Awesome, needs to happen. But they don't have a womb, right? And when we recognize that our womb thinks, then we also understand that a man is really different from a woman. And I know it's a delicate topic, so do I cover it over? Do I give attention to it? But I think if you don't make it too absolute, but recognize, we feel comfortable saying when the womb comes alive in the woman, it changes her thinking and her identity. Meaning having a womb changes us. So that is something very unique. And we should be careful with the conclusions we draw from that. Where do I want to go? So now she's upholding that position with a man and soon after, hopefully, with kids. New role. Asks for transition ritual is what these ancient cultures knew. And that was a huge thing. And it began with separating the boys and the girls from the community, from each other. Dating began actually not with meeting boys. Dating began with separating from the old identity. Going into liminal time. And this is a very interesting ritual where the man and the women would be, boys and girls in between, would be sometimes apart and sometimes meeting each other. One of the beautiful old traditions that actually in quite recent times still had its reflections of boys who would go to listen to the girls singing as they were doing the laundry at the well or the river. Maybe a few hundred years ago. Pretty recent, right? Why would the boys go to listen? Because they understood that the girl that really with her singing touched his heart was for him the most beautiful. That was the one he wanted to pursue. Personally, I have a weakness for that. I'm always looking for a man who can sing. So I get that, right? But can you imagine that part of that being this whole ritual setting, that liminal time? There would be separate boys and girls, would be exploring their sexual energies, would be exploring responsibility, holding that when the other doesn't, would be learning about communication and stuff. And there would be moments the boys would go and listen as the girls were singing. And probably the other way around too. Beautiful dance, right? Then it becomes a sacred dance, dating. And it becomes, do you hear that? A community thing. Now, I'm not blaming dating apps. They're not the problem, right? It's like money. We cannot blame money. Money came forth out of a way of thinking, out of greed. It's not the money that's bad. It's the greed that is not bad either, but it's troubling us. Dating apps are not the problem, but the craziness of creating an app where one woman gets to see all the men, one man gets to see all the women, but the women don't see each other and the men don't see each other. It's as off as can be. People don't understand anything about dating when they create a dating app that way. This could only happen because we don't understand anything about dating. And then we start institutionalizing something that is already way off track. And that's what makes me say dating is dead. For the newcomers, Klara, Adalena here, strong statement, dating is dead. And at the same time celebrating that one of my women dated and found her partner. So what do we do differently? That's what we're talking about. So do you start to feel how beautiful that is? It's a sisterhood, it's learning new responsibilities, it's learning more about the feminine energies, it's learning about sexuality, how it can swipe you off your feet, how it's lovely, but you do need to be aware too. You know, all of those things. And actually transitioning into choosing, matching. All in that liminal time. It's a sacred time, dating. It should be, again, a sacred time, a time of beauty, a time of the heart, of the womb for women, of learning to understand these energies, to have your heart split open and open so that you can love more and more. That's what it's all about. And that's what we are recreating here at the Love for Life Academy. And that's why dating here is such a beautiful journey, because one of our main points is every date is a moment of beauty. Every date adds to his life and your life. And that's not about him being your partner, yes or no. It's about how you as a woman show up. Man can do a lot for that too, but we're not dependent on how he comes to the date. When I decide this is going to be a moment of beauty, and when I use all these feminine skills that we're learning in this liminal time, like we're doing now, the Love for Life Academy, I can decide that and I can make that happen. This date will be a moment of beauty, and it will be a moment that he and me come out of it enriched. Him feeling more masculine, me feeling more feminine, more secure of finding my own partner. Now, how different is that from what we usually see in dating? Women come out, in pieces, a wreck. Because it was boring, because he was terrible, because he was impolite, because he was awesome, but then he didn't call back. So many things. It doesn't have to be that way. And we are changing it here. And seeing again how dead dating is now helps us to search. And it's not that far in ancient times. But what was dating about? How were they doing it then? And then to bring that back. And then things change just like that. So this liminal time of dating women and men, guided by mentors, by priestesses, by shamans, connecting to the sacred, to what it really means. What's the essence of woman? You don't get that the first time you menstruate, right? It takes a bit of time, and then liminal phase, rituals, connecting to the sacred, living among the trees, sleeping in caves, whatever they do, connecting to the essence of woman, man connecting to the essence of the masculine, and then starting to reconnect from a whole new way. Within a community, within a tribe, guided by mentors, by shamans, by priestesses. That's what dating is. And then there comes a moment that the choices are made. You don't have to do it on your own. You make it, but you have these wise ones and you have your tribe behind you. And then we get the engagement, which was relatively short, and then we get the weddings. It's one big thing. The wedding is like the moment when the bride and the groom come out of the sacred liminal time of dating and come back into the community in a new identity. Isn't it beautiful? So that's, of course, natural. Wedding is the culmination of the dating. For us, it's become two very separate things. No. The bachelorette parties are a last little memory of it. What is a bachelorette party really about? Bachelors probably too, but I'm focusing on the feminine and the women. What is it really about? It's a mini version of this whole liminal time of dating. It's the women, the eligible women, kind of in the same place in their lives, coming together. And what do they do there originally? Not those boring things, bungee jumping, whatever, things that you can do on any day of your life. Not making fun of the man. I mean, some fun is good, of course, but it's not what it's really about. What is it really about? It's that whole dating ritual. And it's like honoring that whole time that has been in one powerful format. So it's honoring that the woman is leaving her old identity. It's raising her sexual energies, making her feel more feminine, more juicy, making her ready to receive her man. And then it's honoring her in her capacity to hold on to those energies and to live from the feminine with a man. He's different. Some men are very different, others are not so different, but there is something like a difference out there. Honoring that and honoring her in her capacity to stay herself with the other. Now we need that, right? How many people don't speak about, I lost myself in love? Because you never had this. You never learned how to keep rooting in yourself. You never were honored for your capacity to do that. You never were taught that this is important, right? So many things are missing. That's why dating is so bad. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into that. We'll do that somewhere else. But that's the bachelorette party. Feeling those sensual energies, those feminine energies, enjoying them, feeling all juicy, radiating from every pore, being ready to receive your man. We did that just now this morning for our woman who is marrying tomorrow. It was so beautiful to honor it in that way. And it's not like, oh, I have to take time out of my life to do something for her. This is something where we all receive. And it was so beautiful to actually have many women say that. To say I was crying, not out of jealousy, not out of lack. I was crying because this is so beautiful. And this is how I want it to be. And I received so much from, in this context, awakening these energies. And I received so much from being part of this, from blessing her, hearing her be blessed, feeling that that was what I would need too. That's the handshake, right? We do all those handshakes at the weddings. Originally, of course, that was the blessings, like of the godmothers still in the fairy tales. Originally, everyone would come and bless, certainly your peers from your dating ritual. So we evoked a lot this morning. We really connected to those ancient powers, evoked them in her life, in our lives. And it's so fulfilling. It's hard to say. It's like a fish coming back to the water. And not quite the right. Well, a fish that can kind of stay out of the water for some time, but it keeps drying out more, and then it comes back in the water. That kind of feeling. It's like, yeah, this is how it should be. This is what I've been missing so much in dating. This is why the dating isn't working. The wedding, the marriage, it's part of all of it. And this bachelorette party is way more important than we usually think. But we have to do it very differently. And actually, it should be a period like 2 weeks or 2 months. I actually mean more like that. That's what we do here. 8-week journey, where I say this is your top priority. We still go through our lives, right? Business women here all over the place. Oh, my internet is cutting out.